Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go. Hey, housewives.
Hey, friends. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I am making sure my phone is on Do Not Disturb so you don't hear any reminders or alarms or all the things. So it is real and it's chilly today, isn't it?
At least the sun is shining.
Yes.
Because that changes the mood a big time.
Yes, it does. I totally, of the winter months when it's cloudy and overcast, man, it makes all the difference in the world.
Question why I live in the Midwest sometimes.
Well, it could be worse. We could live in Seattle.
Okay.
All right. So we are perspective, and we are now grateful and thankful that we live in the Midwest. So there's that. Okay. So today we have kind of a fun topic that we
think it's fun.
We think it's fun. That's true. But, you know, we hope that you can relate to it. We hope that it brings you guys some humor. Here's the humor part. So the way this came about is you guys listen to us and we've talked about our dogs multiple times on this podcast. And so we thought how funny to do an episode about the crazy stuff or the crazy stories we have about our pets, because we know we're not the only ones.
No.
I mean,
we've seen you push your pets in strollers.
We have.
And put them in sweaters and booties.
Yes. I've done sweaters. I've done pajamas. I've done pajamas with Belle and Esther, and cats. I've put cats in sweaters.
The only time I ever put an animal in anything was our dog in Chicago because it was, negative degrees, and we would put him in a sweater to take him on a walk.
Yes,
we did.
Yes. So we thought, we know we're not the only ones that talk to them in specific voices or talk for them. All of my dogs and cats have their own voice.
When I used to be on social, it was one of my favorite things to watch was people narrating dog videos.
Yes.
They're hilarious.
They are.
So it's like my favorite. The do.
Yeah, the rock star account or whatever. Like you were with one of my favorite videos, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes. But it is the voices of dogs being adjusted by a chiropractor.
And
oh my gosh, I could laugh forever.
We have to share that.
That one is so good because the look on the dog's faces and then the guy that's narrating it is
it's so good.
Awesome. So here we are. This is what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about all the crazy stuff we've done for our dogs, animals, because I'm going to put it all out there.
Well, and I think it was funny how this came about because we really were doing a different episode. And then we got to talking about just the, cost and the absurdity of things that we do for our pets. And then we started talking about how we grew up so differently. Like you grow up with pets or you don't, and then you become pet owners.
Yes.
Everybody has a different story and ours are unique.
Yes, they are. Okay. But you having pets was a non-negotiable in your marriage, right?
Well, because until we lost one to cancer. And then we had to have a break.
Okay. But you're a farm girl.
Yeah.
So
animals are my thing.
Animals are your thing.
Yep. I had to have pets.
Yes.
And I can't have cats because my husband's allergic. So.
Oh, I think Andrew wishes he told me he was allergic. Andrew came into the marriage he married me and I brought 2 cats into the relationship. Little did he know that they would live as long as they did. Frost was almost 20. I think in the Macbeth, was like 16.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And speaking of,
we have a cameo of Belle bringing in
and I should never have pet her because she will not leave.
Yep. Nope. She's going to be here now for the rest of the episode. She's just going to lay down.
Yep. There it is.
But this is a fun moment too, because we started and Samantha, my shepherd mix previously, she would record in the closet with us.
Yep.
I say record like she would have a microphone. No, she would just lay
with us.
Near us. And
we weren't laying together in the
No, we were not laying together in the closet. And actually in the news story they did on us, KMBC9, there is photo and video of her laying in the closet with us, which was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Because we can't say who's our favorite pet. That's just you can't ask that question.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, who's your favorite pet? I can't answer that. Mine are here. They're listening.
I don't know. Well, if you say your names, they're going to come right over here.
Yes. Can I spell mine?
I would say that you could say that because, one might be nicer than the other one. Or
that's
behave
true.
Better than the other one.
Okay.
Be more obedient, So while you can't say it about your children, you probably think it.
Yes. Yes. No, we definitely have a favorite. We tell our children we have a favorite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I always say who your favorite. You are the favorite if you're nice to mom.
Yeah, that's good.
There's one child who typically always is, and they refer to him as the favorite.
We like to make our children fight for the favoritism, kind of Hunger Games style, right?
Okay.
Like, it's, hey, you could lose this status. You got to
keep it. Work to maintain it.
Work to maintain.
Okay. So you're asking about the favorite. Yes. I would say Max is probably my favorite because one, he's 9.
Yes.
He's so sweet.
Tell him what kind of breed Max is.
He is a Shar-Pei German Shepherd. And we got him
crazy.
I know. And he's a slobbering goober with a tail of a whip. A whip of a tail. Thank you.
I was going to say that's not the right. But yes.
And he was a freebie to us in Chicago with friends from church. They had adopted a dog in their 2-bedroom apartment in Chicago. And just a couple months later, they're like, wow, she's getting really fat. Didn't know she was pregnant. So they had puppies in their apartment in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, we have to get rid of them. They'll be ready at Christmas. We're like, perfect. So we gave our dog to our kids as a gift for Christmas 9 years ago.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes. So he was a Chicago dog and then moved here. And then we have a COVID dog.
Yes. You were one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Either people had a baby.
Yeah.
Got pregnant, had a baby, or they got a pet.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a pet.
We did because there was not another baby coming.
Nope, there's not. So tell us about...
Quasi is a French bulldog and he is 100% my husband's decision. Just saying.
I love that.
Yeah.
For the record, just putting that way.
Yeah. No, I do have to say that when I go back, when we did get Max, funny thing is our friends would sit near us at church and they were telling us, about it or whatever. And we followed, both of them were friends, or we were friends on Facebook at the time. And I just so happened one day to message my friend who was having the puppies, and we were seeing all the pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. I just have to ask, how much are they? I'm curious.
Yeah.
And she messages us back. She's like, funny, I've been talking to your husband all morning.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't tell him. I keep messaging her. And so when he comes home from work that day, I was like, how was your day? And he's like, good. And, we go about anything you need to tell me? Talking to any women today? Like just joking around. And
yeah.
It's like, so are we on the same path here with getting a new puppy? And he was like, what? So that was funny. Now, this one, on the other hand, he was doing all on his own. I have always loved French bulldogs. Like, yes, we would go to pet stores and play all the time, like whether I have a dog or not. I just love animals. And he was like, we need a French bulldog. Because I'm like, I want a lap dog, blah, blah, blah. And it was COVID. And I was like, this is crazy. We're all home. There's a lot going on. This is psycho. Like, I do not think that we need this. And I remember going into the office and I was like, I just want you to know that I am putting all of this on you. This decision to get this French bulldog right now is all you. Because I don't think it's a great idea right now.
And don't you wish you had that conversation recorded?
I mean, he knows.
He knows. That's all. Because let's be honest, Quasi is been a handful.
Yeah, he's cost us a lot of money.
Yeah, because he's had 2 surgeries already.
Yeah, 2 major surgeries.
2 major surgeries. One being on the neck. right?
Well, yeah, spine. He had bladder surgery at 6 months old where they literally put him under anesthesia, took his bladder out, removed stones, put his bladder back in, and neutered him all at the same time. So it might have been like 8 months.
All right. And
then he had spine surgery, which somehow he did something in his vertebrae, and we had to emergency drive him to the University of Missouri, and he had to see a neurologist.
See?
But he was only 2.
Right.
So some people would say no.
Right.
I think we all have different feelings about our pets. But I also have 4 children who have fallen in love with this animal.
Yes.
As my husband and I. And it was a situation where we're like, he's only 2.
Right. Whereas if he was 10, it would be a different story.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And then, okay, any other fun stories about Quasi or Max that you want to? No? Okay.
Not right now.
So, all right.
That's your turn.
My turn. Okay. So we've got currently Belle and Esther, and Belle is a German Shepherd. And then Esther is a Connie Corso and South African Burble mix. And ours, how we got these 2 was previously we had Gunther and Samantha. Gunther passed away because of bladder cancer. And then Samantha, who, was my heart. She's just she was just my mama. She was just, always there. Because we got her, I'll say Andrew got her like 3 months before we got married. So she's just been through everything. And she's moved to Baltimore with us, moved to Dallas,
right.
She was through everything. And so, in May of 2022, I guess, that we came home from a movie and she had been completely fine. We found her in the half bath and she was panting and could not move. And it was the most heartbreaking thing, and so like completely unexpected. And then we ended up putting her down that day, which was...
But you haven't told about all of what you did for Samantha to get her there. Oh, no, that was Gunther.
That was Gunther. Yeah. So Samantha is passing. She was 14. She was, like I said, shepherd
mix.
Which is
incredible.
Incredible. Yes.
Dog, 14.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Especially for a larger dog. But it was so fast, which I'm so glad it was, because I think my heart would have just been in pieces. Because previously, Gunther, he was diagnosed with bladder cancer, and they told us, like, hey, he's got, a couple of months.
Unless, and how old was he?
He was 10, I think. Yeah, maybe. And they said he's got a couple of months. However, while this is not operable, you can, what is it?
Chemotherapy
at Kansas State. Their veterinarian school does offer chemotherapy, and you could take him there and get an evaluation and see what they say. And so we did, which is 2 hours from here. And he did chemo for about a year, and he switched, and it was every 3 weeks. I would take him and leave first thing in the morning, get him there at like 9. He would have chemo for a couple of hours, and then I would drive home with him at 3:00 and be home. And I did that for every 3 weeks for a year. And it gave him an entire extra year. It obviously, and chemo, they assured us, because you hear about chemotherapy with people and that it drains them and it makes them feel terrible. And they said, actually, it's not that way with dogs or animals. In fact, the chemotherapy doesn't make them feel worse. It makes them feel better.
Gives them more energy.
Yes, gives them more energy, because the last thing you want to do is, because put him through suffering that he doesn't understand why, I feel worse after this. And so it was, you could tell as the 3 weeks, once it became 18 days, 19 days, you could see his attitude and his mood kind of diminish. And then we would go back, and then he would be himself again, which was crazy to watch. But so all that to say, we lost Gunther, and then we had about 2 years with Samantha, and
and during that time, mind you, they were housing a geriatric animal situation.
Well, okay, yes.
Because of all four.
We joked that we had Noah's Ark. 2 cats, 2 dogs, 2 kids. So, and yes, we had a geriatric cat. And
needed her arthritis medicine.
Well, that was Macbeth. Macbeth, we gave him, he was diabetic. Oh, hold on, let me finish the story on how we got.
Okay, sorry.
Because I can go into how we, Macbeth, that one. Okay. So Samantha, the cats had already passed. It was just Samantha. We came home from the movie. Samantha was dying. We put her down, and Andrew and I looked at each other heartbroken, and we're like, okay, it was right before summer started. We were like, okay, we're just going to have a break of animals. Like, we can travel, because when you have animals, you have to plan. You have to have a house sitter. You have to do boarding. You have to do a lot of those things. And so it does cost money on top of your hotel room or wherever you're going, right? And so we were like, okay, we're going to take a break. Well, we had already planned a trip down to Dallas and to visit my parents and to take the girls to Canton. Canton has the largest flea market in the world, like 120 plus acres of antique flea market. They do it once a month. It's called First Monday. You go. I mean, you spend 3 days walking all these aisles. Well, the other thing that they have is not just the antiques, but they have like 20 acres of animals. And so you go and you walk around all these animals, and I'm not just saying cats and dogs. I'm saying like hamsters and ostrich and turtles and guinea pigs. And then there were pigs. There was miniature ponies. There's it's a variety. But then, yes, lots of puppies. A couple of people have cats or kittens or whatever. And so, yeah. And so we're like, okay, we're just going to look, because the girls got done with the flea market stuff, and they're like, okay, this is great, but can we go to the animal section? And we're like, okay, but we're not getting anything, And again, 2 weeks ago, we just put our 14-year-old dog down. And the first day we were there, we promised, we were like, okay, we'll go and look. And there wasn't a whole lot, because the Friday, not a whole lot of animal people, but Saturday and Sunday are. And so we go on Saturday and we look, and we saw Belle and Esther separately. And I love German Shepherds, always have. I had one growing up, and saw German Shepherd puppies. And I walk over and I see these adorable puppies. And this one just pops right up and is just like pawing at me. And the lady's trying to talk to me, of course, because she's trying to sell a dog. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't. And I run off, and my family is left there behind. And this woman is like, what the hell? This woman is nuts. And they're like, we're sorry, we just lost our shepherd. Da, 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 da. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Da, da, da. And then I'm like, I can't look at the puppies, the shepherd puppies anymore. Just all I see is Sam. And so then we're walking, and then we've come across this pen on the side, so not built in, but to the side. And it's a huge pen, and it's these floppy-eared, cute puppies, which turn out to be half Connie Corso and half South African Purple. And what are these? These are so cute. And they're gray and this light brown. And we end up talking to one of the owners, and she's like, yeah, they're Connie Corso and South African Burble. And we're like, what's a burble? And she goes, well, actually, the dad is walking around here. His name is Ruger. You'll see him. He's a fairly large dog. He's 210 pounds. And when you think 210 pounds, you don't put that in dog form.
Mm-mm.
You just hear 210 and you're like, that's huge. But you don't put that mentally in a dog form. And so then you look at it and go, oh my gosh. Well, so we keep walking, and sure enough, we see a gentleman walking a dog on a leash, and literally the pathway of people parts for this man and this dog to walk through. Everybody just moves out of the way. And it's Ruger and the owner. And to see a 210-pound dog is like seeing a pony. And he was just the biggest thing and just the sweetest. We're like, oh, hey, we know where your puppies are. Whoops. So we were talking to him. He's got a bandage around his back leg. And we're like, oh, what happened? He goes, he got bit by a rattlesnake, but vet said it was okay. And he's totally fine. And I was like, what dog gets bit by a rattlesnake? Crazy. And the vet's like, he's fine. It's no big deal. insane. And so I was like, all right, we have to go back and look at those puppies one more time. And so on the way back, we circle back to the German Shepherds because I'm a glutton for punishment. And so we go, and the puppy that jumped up the first time I was there, she had been laying in the corner. And then when she saw me come up around again, she popped up and was all up and like trying to get to me. And it was noticeable. Like she clearly, I'll say that, she picked me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And Andrew's like, you're going to do this. And I was like, she's just so cute. He's like, we said we weren't going to do this. And I was like, I know, but she's clearly picked me.
So she was a therapeutic decision.
Yeah. Yes.
Post-traumatic.
Yes.
Stress syndrome.
Yes.
Decision.
She was. And so before I knew it, I was handing over my credit card to get this German Shepherd puppy. And then I was like, as the woman is gathering all the things up, I'm like, come on, girls, because the Burble puppies were not far. And so we walked over there and I got Andrew to hold one of them. And he's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And it turns out to be Esther. She peed on him. And we're like, look, she picked you. And then before he knew it, we were taking home Esther. And so he's like, the car is 1.5 miles away. Give me your wallet right now. I'm going to go run and get the car. And we're getting out of here. Like
with 2 puppies.
With 2 puppies. And great. We had been staying with my parents prior to this in Dallas because this was about 90 minutes away. And so my mom was like, do not come home with a dog. Do not come home with a dog because they didn't have any pets. And like, she's like, we don't have the space, whatever. It's not. And so I called her on the way back to Dallas and I said, okay, we're not coming home with a dog. And she goes, great. I said, we're coming home with 2. And she goes, you're an idiot. And then hung up. And then we come home with 2 puppies and she falls in love with them too. So that is the story of Belle and Esther. Okay. So let's talk about, we went to geriatric animals. Okay.
And the point of all this, friends, is just so that you can understand you are not alone in how much money and how much time and how much care you put towards your loving pets.
Exactly. Or that you let them on furniture. Like Andrew.
No, we don't. Oh, shoot. One of them we do.
Well, okay. For us, Andrew and I, he grew up with outside dogs.
Yeah.
And for me, that was almost a deal breaker. I was like, no. Like Samantha is going to, if we get a dog, it's going to be an indoor dog. And he's like, fine, but it's not going to be on the furniture. I'm like, fine.
Well, I think I only had outdoor pets because I was on a farm and they all lived outside. When I was older, we started letting my cat in when I was like in high school and stuff to stay. But she would ring a bell and she would go back outside. She was such a smart cat. But when we lived in Chicago, you only have a chance to have indoor animals.
Right.
Like,
yes.
We lived in an apartment building. Like that was what was hard too, is you literally had to get up every morning, put your shoes and coat on and go walk the dog. Like that was hard. Like not being able to just know that they were taking care of their business. Like,
or letting them outside.
That was an adjustment. Like we literally had to go on a walk because there was no grass patch right outside our front door. Like we lived in a building above CVS. And
see, and that's the thing that I haven't had to experience that because, I had cats when I lived in an apartment. So that's, you just have the litter box there. But having to walk a dog every day, multiple times a day for them to do their business and stuff like that. That was
and we had to pay, like we were both working because we were.
Oh, and you had to pay somebody to come.
Somebody to come. We had to pay a dog walker every week. They had to come and let him out during the day.
Oh yeah. Wow. Things you don't think about.
Yep.
Well, let me tell the story about Macbeth. Macbeth was the cat that I got as a friend for Frost because when I moved into apartment, I only had Frost. And at the time I was a waitress and would come home at like midnight and Frost had been alone for the last 8 hours. And so all he wanted to do was just like be on top of me and meow and like be with me. And so I was like, no, this is not happening. So I got him a friend. Well, at first he didn't like his friend. Macbeth had to live in the bathroom for a good 2 weeks. So Frost didn't kill him, which was fun. And then basically like Frost made perfectly known that like, you're mine.
The boss.
He's the boss. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so that's how their relationship worked. It was great. Years later, when we moved here, it was when we moved here, Macbeth had some issues, took him to the vet. Turns out he was diabetic. So I had to give him insulin shots. And yeah, so I'm giving my cat insulin shots. Insane. And then I leave town. Again, he's like 14 or 15 years old at this point. Right before I leave, I give him one of his insulin shots so Andrew doesn't have to do it. Because again, Andrew's not the cat person. So I take care of him. And then I'm leaving town for 24 hours to go surprise a friend for a Christmas party. I mean, I'm going to fly out and fly back within a 24-hour time period. I fly out to Dallas with a friend. I meet up with them, and I'm not on the ground in Dallas for an hour, and I get a phone call from Andrew. And he says, "Hey, I'm here at the vet with Macbeth." And I was like, "What? Why?" He goes, "Well, he's dying." And I was like, what? Like, could not. I was like, I don't. And he goes, "Okay. Yeah, he's in a coma kind of thing." And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, can you keep him alive for 24 hours? Like, so I'm in tears, right? I'm bawling. And, and I'm like, can you keep him alive until I get home? Just let me say goodbye. And Andrew mutes the phone and asks the vet if he keep him alive for 24 hours for me to get home. And the vet's like, "Well, you'd have to go to emergency services, and that'd be about $2,000. And so Andrew gets back on the phone and goes, "Nope, no, we can't.
Not even going to give you the option.
Not even going to give me the option." And so again, I'm with two of my friends talking with Andrew, and I ask Andrew to FaceTime me so I can FaceTime my cat that is dying. And the vet, like, and they've got him wrapped up in a warming, heating blanket and whatever. And it is the saddest thing. And I took screenshots. I don't know why I felt the need to take, but it was like, take screenshots. That seems like a good idea. But I am in like ugly crying. My best friend is driving the car to get me to my parents' house because that was the plan. I was staying with my parents. And I am FaceTiming my dying cat. And so I was there as Andrew had to put the cat down. And again, I was gone less than 24 hours. Andrew wouldn't let me leave for a while after that. He goes, "We're never doing that again."
Yeah.
Because then the consequences of that, girls were at gymnastics.
So they didn't know until they got home.
He didn't tell them anything that night. The next morning, he told them, which I think was a better idea because otherwise that would have been a long night for him.
Yeah, that's true.
And so he said, "Hey, while you were at gymnastics, Beth got sick. We had to put him down." And they thought he was kidding. And so he was like, "No, I'm not." Which tells you why my children, when Andrew says something, they look at me and go,
"Is he serious?
Is he serious?"
Yeah.
Mom, is he
we live with that in our house too.
Yeah. Like they double check everything that he said. And so, so he had to tell them that the cat had died. And it's amazing that Andrew's let me out of town.
Well, it's kind of funny. No, it's not funny. But like we all have these pet stories that are good, but they all end so soon.
Yes.
It really is a short period of time.
It really is. And
especially if they go early, like ours only lived 5 years. Our first dog only lived 5 years.
Gosh.
But it's like, we all know people who have lost their pets, and it literally is like losing a loved one. Like,
yes,
especially if they've been in your home and they greet you every day and it is part of your life.
Yeah.
When that piece is no longer there. I just remember when we lost our first dog, it was the missing his toenails on the hardwood floor.
On the hardwood floor.
Yeah. When we'd get home, it would, you knew he was coming, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. No, it's amazing how quiet your house is. Like when they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
And two, also when you have multiple pets, what happens when they lose one?
Yeah.
Like Samantha, I am so glad that Gunther went first because I don't think Gunther, he was always like, she was boss, she was alpha. I'm not sure how he would have handled it with her gone.
Mm.
And then Macbeth, oddly enough, Macbeth was the cat that Andrew tolerated better than Frost. He hated Frost. But Frost lived for another 4 years after Macbeth. And after Macbeth died, Frost at night, this was the saddest thing. He would walk the halls and cry. And
I'm looking for him. Oh, I love that you just made an animal noise.
And so I would get Frost and he'd come to my side of the bed and he would, and I pick him up and I'm lay him down right next to my side of the bed. And then about 2:00 in the morning, you would hear this because he jumps off the bed. And because he was a big cat, I mean, he was 18, 19 pounds. That's a huge cat. And then he would go downstairs and eat. Well, he did that for a good couple of months. And then we found what the perfect solution was actually because Emsley adored him. We would just take him and put him to bed with Emsley. So he went to bed when Emsley went to bed every night, which is great. It was, he was not lonely. He had his sleep. But then what happens when the cat dies? Then you have a kid that's like, I can't sleep without my cat.
No, that's so true.
But funny story on that. Well, it's not really funny. It's good. But so when it was his time to go, we were at the emergency vet and we knew it was time for him to go. He couldn't move, all the things. And so you take him in and they're like, okay, we'll take as much time as you need. He's in a comfortable state. And then here's a little beeper, not beeper, like a little button thing. This will alert us when you're ready for us to come back in and we'll finish the process and whatever. And so, I had only had Frost for, I don't know, since I was 18 and he just died last year.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, he was a good 20 years old. And so I'm losing it and Emsley's losing it and we're just cradling Frost. And then there's Andrew who's, lovingly consoling us. And because he hurts when we hurt, it makes him sad to watch us be crying. Sure. Then you had Jules in the corner who was holding the little alert button. And she was just like,
I don't want to feel.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. And she was like, beep, beep, beep. And Andrew was like, quit, they're not ready yet. And she's like, no, let's get this going on. Beep, beep. And it was like,
you're trying to be.
I was like,
in a field.
Yes, let me grieve this moment with us holding him. And she was like, no, we're over this. Okay. She was ready to go. We got stuff to do, Mom.
Well, and I imagine that's probably real in most families. Some just get attached to him and some don't.
Oh yeah. And it's funny, Jules, not a cat person, always never been a cat person. She has got actually a pillow that has Gunther's picture on it and then a pillow that's shaped like Gunther. Mm-hmm. And those are her two things. And she just loves Gunther. I'm like, Gunther died 6 years ago. You were 4.
Do you even remember?
Yeah. How much do you remember of Gunther?
Right.
And Gunther was a pit bull. I neglected to say that, I think, earlier. But he was the biggest love bug and just the biggest baby. And, it's always the ones you don't think that are the biggest babies. Yeah. But it's okay. So I just remembered we have a picture of Max wearing a pair of my shorts. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Around his head.
Yes.
It was because you'd come over and swam and my dog loves towels. And it was a wet towel. And so he went into your bag to get a wet towel and came out with his head inside your shorts.
It's hilarious. We will definitely post that picture because it is one of the funniest
and he
things.
Finds every towels.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Now, how are your kids? Your kids weren't old enough or were they old enough they haven't experienced a pet death yet?
No, because Chris and I got Dakin, our first dog. He was an English bulldog with one blue eye and one black eye. He was amazing. We got him before we had kids. And so our oldest son, Parker, he was 2.5.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with Ryan when Dakin was dying. It was awful.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That just adds to the hormones.
Yeah. Well, and I had to carry him to the car when he was so sick to take him to the vet. I had to get friends to help me and it was terrible. That was awful. But he was only 2, but his first words were Day, the dog's name, Dakin.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. They were the best of friends.
Oh,
it's crazy.
See? And
but nobody remembers him.
Right.
It's funny though, all of our kids know him. It's funny how we talk about, like, you still talk about your animals that they didn't even know.
Oh yeah, for sure. We, like, you don't remember they'll remember Sam, but I don't think the memories with Gunther.
I can foresee 2 of my kids always having pets and 2 of mine never having pets.
Really? I want to know who's who. Wait, hold on. I'm going to guess. Braylon, pet. Parker, pet. No. Garrett. Okay.
It's so funny. And I'm only assuming that and saying that because of the attention that the dogs get because of them. Like, every time they come home, they literally go over. I mean, this morning I'm sitting in my chair doing my Bible study and Garrett comes down and goes and like cuddles with the dogs by the fireplace every morning. Like, there is like, it's like mom, dad, dogs, like they're always included. Like, I really think Parker and Ryan could come in the house and leave the house without even talking to the dogs. I mean, I'm not saying Ryan, she'll get them wound up when she wants to play. She gets crazy and will play with them.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's just that it's just not something that they are, how just the inner like love.
Instinctively.
Yes. You just love animals or you're just like indifferent about them.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and Andrew and I always joke about how like our previous animals would be like rolling over in their graves. Like Sandy and Merle, which were his dogs, his family dogs when he was growing up, like they were outdoor dogs. I mean, Merle was an Australian Shepherd. Sandy was a Golden. And they slept in the garage or slept on the porch. Like, they did not come inside. Or if it was cold, because they were in Texas, they would let them in the kitchen. But that was it. Like, and on the flip side, I grew up showing dogs. I grew up with my dogs on the couch with us. I grew up with the dogs in the bed, like sleeping with us.
This is why you're like coming alive in this episode and being animated and like talking animal and like, this is like, it's definitely more your, there's like passion and love for pets from you.
Yeah, there is a passion and love. I will say over the last year, one of the things that I did besides stop drinking, which I'm officially past a year, was I was intentional about taking our pups to the DOG PARK. Yes, I'm spelling that because we are in my house and my dogs know what those words are. So weekly, I will take them 2 or 3 times to the DOG PARK and just let them go, hey, well, because we found during, working and stuff, like they're puppies. They're still puppies. I mean, they're not even 3. So they need to get their energy out and all the things. And so we found that was a really good, so I can spend 45 minutes, but I almost find that I love it.
Yeah.
Just as much as they do, or if not more, because like if I haven't gone, like, cause the weather's been really crappy and cold, I haven't gone in a week and a half and I'm like, gosh, I just want to be outside and do my couple of loops with the pups and let them run wild.
We used to do that with Max before we got Quasi, but then we got Quasi because of COVID and then it all kind of just stopped.
Because Quasi is anxious.
Yes, he's an anxious dog.
He's a very anxious.
Yes.
Quasi has emotional
stress
disorder. Sorry, he's a very... Okay, can we please talk about how you make Quasi's food?
Yes, I do.
Why do you make Quasi's food?
Because y'all gonna think we're crazy anyway, but we both go to a holistic veterinarian.
Yes, we do.
Things very
functional medicine.
Yes,
veterinarian.
Yes. And because he's anxious and a hothead, and he just gets stressed out.
He's got a very particular temperament.
Yes, and he's a bully breed, and the bully breeds are hot-headed. And she taught us about food and what foods actually like make them warm. Like, foods can make you warm and can make you cold. It's just like when you eat soup when you're cold, it warms you up. And when you're hot, you want some watermelon to cool you down. Like, that's just how our bodies work. Dogs are the same way. And she's like, I'm going to challenge you to like just a month, wean them off of just kibble and make homemade food. And here's what you make. And I use ground turkey, spinach, green beans, mushrooms, rice, and coconut oil. And that's how I make it. It takes me about an hour and it gets me about 10 days. But I make it every about 10 days. And he, like we just said last night, I mean, he'll bark when people come in. We used to have to cover his kennel, like he couldn't see because he would just be like so anxious and shaking in his kennel. And then now last night we had a house full of kids and they're all just running around the kitchen and he's just sitting there, he's just watching everybody.
But he's in his kennel.
So far. No, we don't have him out because he just is so freaking crazy.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started about 8 months ago and making his dog food. And we had him on like Xanax.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I mean, dog meds for being anxious. Prozac. Thank you. And I have stopped because it was recommended that we do one or the other and see if one helps over the other.
Right.
But we were like, we need help stat because our house, we couldn't have guests over in our house. Our kids couldn't have friends over. Like he just, and we hated the stress it was putting on him. We didn't want him to have a heart attack.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
and
because
so
him being in a kennel and not enjoying it, that, you know, that's either their kennel's their safe spot or it's not. So,
yeah. And I mean, they do really well in their kennels. It's just when people are in the house and they can't be out with them.
Yes.
And it's because he's jumping, he's scratching, he's nipping, like he's just never been able to control himself.
Yes.
So he was on medication and we did all the things all at once. The medication, started having food. And then we have more powerful meds that we give him that make him basically high, and it's hilarious. And he just walks around like a zombie. But we used to have to do that when big groups were coming over or the cleaning ladies were coming or whatever. And now I don't even give that to him anymore. So we slowly weaned him off the meds. And so far the food is just enough and it's working. So.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Also, I would just like make note that this episode right now we're at about 40 minutes or so. And you were like, oh yeah, we could talk 20 minutes about our pets.
Well, I could talk 20 minutes about pets. The majority has been your pets.
Can I say it's because I've had more pets? Maybe? No.
Maybe.
Yeah.
More stories about your pets.
I do have lots of stories.
I have stories. I'm just not sharing all the details.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is fine for legal purposes. We understand. So
we're not in trouble. It's
it's
we're
fine.
Just keeping it clean.
Yeah, we are keeping it clean. Minus Tracy cussing earlier. If you heard that, that was great. Love it. Well, you're not alone in loving whatever pet it is or coping. Like, let's be honest. When a pet dies, it's hard to tell your kids. I mean, I don't care if it's the goldfish that you got at the fair. Yeah. It is a conversation that you have, like, also too, having conversations with children of like, one of my children wanted a gerbil. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
No.
Let me tell you all the reason why a gerbil is not a good idea. Besides the fact that it's so tiny that Esther could just swallow it and it would be, that's it. It'd be gone. So it's a piece of her life. And the fact that we live in an affluent, can we say affluent bubble of Johnson County where, pets are, and people take care of their pets and push them around in strollers. I've seen it. If you're one of those, I may be judging you. And also there's
always stories. Maybe their legs are broken.
Sure. Let's do that. I have seen people push their dogs in strollers at the DOJPARK.
They're getting fresh air.
That one,
it's helping their mental health.
So I like to believe while I am not at the bottom, I am also not the craziest.
No.
So that's a fair statement. So I'm in the middle there somewhere. And so are you. Yep. We're a good mix of that. Mm-hmm. So we would love for you to share your fun pet story. Share it in the comments of one of the reels or share it in the comments of one of the posts about this episode. We would love to know what pets, or if you think we're absolutely nuts, tell us. Comment. Put that comment in the YouTube. It
doesn't mean I might cry about it later, but
right. Or it won't hurt my feelings and I'll feel judged. It's fine. No. But yeah, let us know what your fun pet story is, or if we're absolutely nuts. It's great. Also, don't forget to check out our Unlikely merch. We have got sweatshirts. We have got a tote. We've got coffee mugs. They make great gifts, but also they're just great and comfy and cozy and just to hang out in. And it's a great way to support our podcast because this is a labor of love. Yes. So we just want to say thanks, Housewives, and
Until next week.
Until next time.
Bye.
Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes, and be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.